I want to start with the Saints. Preseason game number 2 inside the Dome, Jags and Hoodats, and it did not get off to a very good start. You had Tyler Shough out there with the first team Saints offense. He takes a sack. He gets a grounding call. It's 3rd and 30. Then his second drive, he goes 3 and out immediately. Trevor Lawrence takes the field for one drive in the Jags' first offense. They go right down the field against the Saints' number 2 defense with no resistance, and it was not a lot of fun to watch there for the first, 10 minutes of game time. Just absolutely nothing really positive at all from the Saints. But as the game wore on, and unfortunately that's when the more important players come out of the game, there was some good. And I want to start with Spencer Rattler because that's likely the most notable talking point of the end of the game. Rattler did a really good job late in the game, especially on the last drive, to lead down and get that tying score with the 2-point conversion. The 2-minute touchdown drive was very, very sharp. It was very, very decisive. He was 7 of 8 on that drive and through the touchdown. He added 11 rushing yards on the scramble. He obviously ran for the 2-point conversion. I'm not going to put too much into it against guys that are probably going to get cut from Jacksonville's roster. But at the same time, you're looking for small things from young quarterbacks. And I thought that Rattler did a good job of taking what was there. There were a lot of checkdowns from both quarterbacks in this game, and that's okay. I appreciate that. I think a surefire sign of incompetence would be not to take checkdowns and to force the ball too much and to turn the ball over far too often, to try to do things that aren't there. Y'all watched Drew Brees play for 15 years. How many checkdowns did that guy throw? A lot. It's about staying on schedule. It's about staying in rhythm. And I thought Rattler did a pretty good job of doing that. Now, your two quarterbacks didn't put a touchdown on the board until the very end of the ball game. So you understand that it's not all great. But I thought that, look, Rattler's throw down the sideline to Mason Tipton was put right on the money. That was probably his highlight of getting the ball down the field. And I liked what Spencer Rattler said in the post game, maybe more than anything he did on the field. And that was in reference to his interception that he threw, which looked terrible on film. I shouldn't say that. It looked terrible live. If you watch it live, Rattler takes the snap, he looks to the right, he throws to the right, and the DB reads his eyes, jumps the route, and picks it off. And in real time, I looked at that and went, God, that's awful. And then they showed the replay. And I had a thought. I was like, I'm not sure that was the best route I've ever seen. A quarterback needs his receiver to kind of get flat and cross the DB's face and catch the ball at the most, deflect at the very least. Like, that's my thinking when I see it the second time. And then I'm listening this morning to our guys on Off the Bench, and Flynn said the exact same thing. I'm going to take Flynn's word for it far more often than I'm going to take my word for it. But since they're the same words, I think we're probably both on the same page. And what Rattler said in the postgame about the interception was we had a little bit of a miscommunication. So to me, that's as fixable a mistake as there is. Like, if you don't see a coverage, that's going to take some time to adjust to that and figure it out. If you don't have the arm strength to make a throw, well, that's a significant problem. If you miss a read significantly that's wide open and progress to something that's not and force a ball, well, like, that's a bad decision. He went to the place he was supposed to go with the ball, and the receiver did not flatten the route out adequately to give his quarterback a chance. And to add on to that, which is going to happen in the NFL, it was a DB making a really good play to come up aggressively and get the interception and, of course, run it back for a touchdown. Like, no, it's not good, but it is fixable. And I loved the answer from Rattler, who was calm, composed, and said exactly what he should after that. He's not shook up by a mistake. He's not, I didn't even think about this when I was going over what I was going to say, rattled, got the name, unintentional, we'll move on. He's not. And the best thing I can say about the two Saints quarterbacks through 2 weeks, both of them have made significant errors. Shough throws the interception in the game last week, gets picked up and run back for a touchdown. He doesn't necessarily buckle. He comes right back and throws a deep ball for a touchdown. Rattler throws that pick yesterday, which doesn't look great. but then he leads the game-tying drive at the end of the game. They've responded to adversity well, which is a good thing. Now, if you go to Shough's performance yesterday, I mentioned just a dreadful start to his day. Sack, grounding, 3 and out, looks brutal. And he's got Olave out there, and he's got Shaheed out there, and he's got his tackles out there. It's like, this is just doesn't look very good. But he did do some things well. That throw that he made to Welch on the corner route was perfectly on time, perfectly on rhythm, well delivered. Welch went up there and made a play for his quarterback. I liked that play. And you look at the completion percentage, which is 9 out of 12. Like, he's getting the ball to some places and creating positive yardage. He didn't turn it over. It wasn't a work of art, but it's his second game ever in the NFL. So I felt like the quarterbacks were unspectacular, had some mistakes, but did some really good things. I'm going to need the Saints center to be out there. I'm going to need Alvin Kamara to be out there. I'm going to need the entire offense on display and not just this to make more significant judgments than that. But I felt like it was okay for the Saints at quarterback. I don't have the hot take today. I don't have it's got to be Rattler. I don't have it's got to be Shough. I don't have I'm giving up on Rattler. I don't have Shough's a bust. I don't have this was a disaster against the Jaguars scrubs. I don't have, oh my goodness, did you see that last drive? Rattler is the dude. I don't have that today. What I have is saw some good stuff. I don't expect great stuff right now. I would expect more good stuff from Rattler against 2s and 3s than I saw from Shough against some 1s, and I did. And I'm hopeful that Shough doesn't turn the ball over for the second straight week, and he didn't. And you just kind of go to the next week. And I'll say this before we get to the back end of this week where I'll repeat it. They should both play a ton in the game coming up on Saturday. Either way, this weekend. They should both play a ton. I think it's Saturday. Because I don't need to see Jay Kendre. That doesn't improve the Saints any. Jay Kandre's not going to be the quarterback week 1. He's not going to be the quarterback of the future. He doesn't need to play. That's wasted reps. These two guys need to play. I don't care if everybody else on the other team is going to get cut, which is usually the case in the last preseason game. I want to see those two guys out there playing. Now, I thought there was a couple of good things from the running backs. Kendre Miller is showing a little bit of a burst in the little time that he's getting on the field. No, 6 carries for 21 yards, 3.5 a carry is not going to wow anybody, especially when you consider that one of them was 13 yards, so the other 5 carries went for 8 yards. That's not jaw-dropping. But I haven't seen any of Kendre Miller, so it's nice to see him, and there is a little bit of burst there. By the same token, Clyde, really tough physical catch and run to pick up that first down the right sideline. Those two guys, I think, are fighting hard. And I don't have a lot of use for Velus Jones, and I don't feel like Cam Akers is any sort of answer. You're going to keep Kamara, obviously. He's your starting running back. I think Clyde and Miller are battling for that next spot. And I think that there's things to like about both of them. Clyde is a better pass protector. He's been a more established player in the league. Miller probably got a little bit more burst at this point. Probably got a little bit more home run hitting ability. But I thought I saw some good things from those two guys in the game. Mason Tipton, of course, was a big positive, had 100 yards receiving, including the big play for 45 yards. He made 6 catches to lead the way. I liked that. And then, of course, you had a really nice play on the interception by Jalen Ford. Sky's there in a nice play in his own defense and makes a really nice play, and that's a young player on your defense. Quincy Riley continues to play well, 9 tackles to lead the team, including a tackle for loss. Jonas Sanker was playing violent and physical. I like to see that out of the secondary. Jalen Ford had that really nice play there. So I saw some things that I liked from some of the younger defenders, and that's the second week in a row that you've seen some of that. So, look, this is a slow process, and you're looking for small positives from young players. And I thought you did see some small positives from young players. Was it gorgeous? No. Did you have all of 9 points with a minute to go in the game? You did. But there are some things that are good. I don't care about the score. There were some things that were good. And we'll harp on those in August. When it gets to October, the record is really south, and there's a big turnover number, and you can't figure out what the quarterback is, we'll have a frank discussion about that on the negative side. I don't have a huge reason to do that on a team with no expectation, with 2 very young quarterbacks playing games where the score doesn't matter. I'm just not going to go nuts over those games. Thought there were some good things. That's what I will choose at this point to harp on with the New Orleans Saints, with the Jacksonville Jaguars in a 17-17 preseason week number 2. We'll see what week number 3 has in store. Hey, it's Hunt. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.